In Las Vegas, quite possibly the classiest casino in the entire city besides the Wynn and Encore is undoubtedly the Bellagio. With its quite elegant architecture and theme, amazing botanical gardens, and its iconic fountain show, it's no doubt that this resort and casino has lit its eyes to become one of the best properties on the entire Las Vegas Strip. But how did it get like this? Well, in this episode of Casino History, we'll answer that question right now. But first we'll have to talk about another casino, the Dunes. You see, before the Bellagio, there was a really old Arabian Nights themed hotel and casino named the Dunes that opened on May 23, 1955. Now, to be honest, this property has a lot of history, so much so that it might even require an entire casino history video. But just to make it short, the hotel and casino went through a large number of expansions, including a new Diamond of the Dunes tower, a large golf club, a Dome of the Sea restaurant, an iconic pylon neon sign, a new South Tower, and a quote-unquote casino inside of a casino called the Oasis. It was also home to some pretty neat shows, including the Comedy Shop and Casino de Paris. However, near the end of its life, the casino had become a shell of its former self. Due to the opening of much grander casinos, the Dunes was receiving heavy competition, and because of that, they weren't even able to gain enough profits throughout the years, getting to the point where they would have to borrow money from other casinos like the Sands in order to stay afloat. However, this would not help their demise. On October 27, 1993, the Dunes would be imploded after the hotel and casino had been in severe decline. The person responsible for this was Steve Wynn, CEO of the former company Mirage Resorts, who had been owning the casino since 1992. The implosion marks two important parts of Las Vegas' history: the opening of Treasure Island, which took place on the same day and was even used as part of the Dunes implosion, and the starting point of a resort and casino concept Wynn himself called the Beau Rivage.
The final building came down, and with the Dunes reduced to dust, Steve Wynn was ready for the biggest hotel announcement of 1994, a billion-dollar baby called Beau Rivage.
There are waterfalls and lagoons and coves.
It will become the tallest hotel on the Strip, surrounded by an ocean of water.
After the implosions, plans were already being made for the new upcoming resort. The concept of the Beau Rivage called for a giant man-made lake surrounding the property, with a 3,000-room hotel tower and multiple water-based attractions, all with a predicted cost of over $900 million, which, if it was actually built like this, would have been the most expensive Las Vegas Strip resort at the time before the opening of the new MGM Grand a few months later in December of 1993, which cost $1 billion to build. However, despite lots of excitement for the property, even getting to the point where it was thought that it would be Mirage Resort's flagship property, many people were concerned over the man-made lake wasting a large amount of water, especially since it would be located in such a dry landscape and climate. Even then, groundbreaking of the resort took place on November 7, 1995. Steve Wynn promised that the hotel would be incredibly romantic, with a new type of aesthetic that Las Vegas has never seen before, super classy and super modern. And it would only change more and more when Steve Wynn was on a vacation to a little city in the country of Italy called Bellagio with his partner Paul Anka. Situated near Lake Como, the city of Bellagio was a delicate place, with an amazing green landscape and colorful architecture, all with a name that meant elegant relaxation. Wynn was amazed at the city, so much so that when he came back to Las Vegas, he had decided to completely change everything about the Beau Rivage, including the name, which would now be named after the city. Instead of a modern and water-themed hotel and casino, Mirage Resorts went with this Italian-themed property with an incredibly classy ambience. The lake that was conceptualized since the very beginning of the property was downsized to 8 acres, with plans for multiple water fountains that would perform a show every hour, all built on where the Dunes golf course had previously occupied. A botanical garden, art galleries, ballrooms, wedding chapels, and even a Cirque du Soleil show were all planned for the Bellagio, all eventually being built. By 1996, the hotel and casino had reached its 20th floor, and the excavation of the big lake had already begun. Construction of the resort was fast, and in fact, in just 1 month it had already gotten to 30 floors. A special effects system was installed for the fountain show that included high-tech lighting, a sound that would make the fountain show just as majestic as Treasure Island's Pirate Battle and the Mirage's Volcano Show. Before they all knew it, construction of the Bellagio would be finished by 1998, and the hotel and casino was preparing its grand opening with a finished cost of $1.6 billion, making it the most expensive hotel and casino in the world at the time. At 10:15 p.m. on October 15, 1998, 5,000 to 25,000 tourists surrounded the sidewalk of what would become the new Bellagio Resort Casino, displaying for the first time its 30-minute dancing fountain show that was filled to the brim with music from various classic music composers. VIPs were invited to the resort for its grand opening, donating their money to the Foundation of Fighting Blindness. Prices for VIP slots were $1,000 a person and $3,500 a couple, also letting them enjoy a nice visit at one of the hotel's suites. Former Governor of Nevada, Bob Miller, was present during the ceremony, along with Drew Barrymore and George Lucas. The grand opening was held during windy weather. It got so windy during the night that a fireworks show, which was planned for the ceremony, had to be cancelled. Needless to say, the Bellagio would spend $88 million alone for the ceremony, and at 11 p.m., the Bellagio was officially open for guests, tourists, locals, and everyone else in the mix. The opening also held a 40-minute speech provided by Steve Wynn, along with the first ever production of Cirque du Soleil's O, a water show that consists of 85 performers, including acrobats and synchronized swimmers, some of which even being former Olympic athletes. O would become one of Las Vegas's most famous shows in its history. By 1 p.m., the Bellagio was still holding 15,000 customers within its casino area alone, which at the time was 130,000 square feet. It contained 2,000 slot machines, 139 table games, and even a 170-seat race and sports book. The hotel tower contained 3,000 luxurious hotel rooms with prices that would cost up to $149 per night, along with 400 suites within. Other than that, the Bellagio contained a load of attractions that would compete with even the more popular resorts on the Las Vegas Strip, including its 14,000 square foot botanical garden. This rather large garden showcases a wide variety of art sculptures that would change every season, celebrating different holidays and traditions. Near it was a $285 million art gallery featuring many masterpieces made by iconic artists from the past like Paul Gauguin and Vincent van Gogh. Speaking of art, Steve Wynn went all out with the art in the Bellagio. It was literally everywhere. On the ceiling of the casino area, a $10 million art piece called the Fiore di Como consists of 2,000 hand-blown glass blossoms weighing about 40,000 pounds, all covering 2,100 square feet of the ceiling. It was created by Dale Chihuly, a popular artist from Washington. An outlet center served as one of the passageways to where the casino would be. Many of the stores were considered to be super high class, with retailers like Gucci and Prada included. Outside, the main entrance to the casino was made up with people movers, which are now removed, located under a giant pylon and fascia sign designed by Roger Pratt and Atlanta Design. And in the front, its main attraction was shown beautifully in an 8.5-acre, 8-feet-deep lake that held 2.2 million gallons of water. Every 30 minutes, the Bellagio holds a special water show called the Fountains of Bellagio, where 1,200 nozzles are used to produce spurts of water going up as high as 460 feet. Dancing in sync to various classic songs, as well as different styles of music. At night, the show is enhanced with lighting effects. The fountain show was created by Wet and cost $40 million to build. When it was built, it was actually the largest fountain in the world until 2010, when that record was given to the Dubai Fountain in the United Arab Emirates. Some of the restaurants included inside the Bellagio over the years included Le Cirque, a French restaurant known for its great jewel box-like setting, the Buffet, Osteria di Circo, and Prime. There were also wedding chapels, ballrooms, and a total of 14 mini-rooms. It was pretty obvious that the Bellagio was incredibly successful being on the Las Vegas Strip in terms of critics. It was built during a time when almost every casino's focus on the Las Vegas Strip was to target its audience towards families, and the Bellagio did it by offering high-class dining and entertainment, along with ultra-luxurious hotel rooms, and with a nice variety of shows, especially the Fountains of Bellagio, Botanical Gardens, and O. In fact, Not long after opening, it was given a 4-diamond rating by the AAA in 2000, and eventually a 5-diamond rating, and was since given that award for 15 straight years in a row. However, during its first year of operation by 1999, it only made $260 million, going below expectations of what Steve Wynn had hoped the resort and casino could make in just a year. Many investors were concerned with how the Bellagio's extremely high price to build would affect its later years, with Wynn's MGM Mirage company even losing money at one point due to the overspending of the resort, along with having to deal with using money for the eventually built Beau Rivage over at Biloxi in Mississippi. Things did eventually change, and profits for the Bellagio would begin rising. By the end of March 2001, the resort and casino had over $320 million in profits within a year, with analysts believing that the Bellagio would become the most profitable gaming resort in the world. Eventually, it did actually become MGM's most profitable resort at the time. Demand for the resort had gotten higher over the periods, and because of that, Wynn began hinting a possible expansion for the immensely popular casino. Eventually, the expansion would become underway. In February 2001, the Bellagio opened an on-site airport check-in facility where guests could go to the casino's valet area and be able to get flight arrangements at the nearby McCarran Airport. Plans began for the addition of a new $275 million expansion to the resort and casino. Part of this expansion would include a new 928-room hotel tower located adjacent to the main tower called the Spa Tower. Construction of the new tower broke ground on April 28, 2003. During construction, other parts of the expansion would come underway, including increasing the size of the Bellagio spa area, meeting spaces, and adding 5,000 square feet to its retail and restaurant services. About 1 year later, the new spa tower opened on December 23, 2004, increasing the Bellagio's room count to 3,950. Throughout the 2000s, the Bellagio would begin to face competition with new resorts and casinos that would put hotel rooms to shame. On April 28, 2005, Steve Wynn would open his next resort after the Bellagio, the Wynn. The Wynn was much more lavish and luxurious than the Bellagio during its time, with more attractions and restaurants than the older hotel and casino, along with an entire golf club that was left over from the previously occupying hotel, the Desert Inn. It would make a huge expansion on December 22, 2008, with the Encore. The Venetian, which also opened in 1999, would also expand with an entirely new resort and casino called the Palazzo in 2007. On that same year, the new Aladdin, which opened in 2000, after suffering major financial issues, would be renovated into the Planet Hollywood Resort and Casino. And finally, MGM Resorts would spend $8 billion with Dubai World into producing the new city center, which included the Aria Resort and Casino. All of these casinos would cause a huge amount of competition with the Bellagio, and thus they had to find new strategies to stay relevant with the other resorts. To start, the Bellagio would begin expanding its monorail that previously only went to the Monte Carlo that had existed since 1998. As of late 2009, the monorail could now stop at the Aria Resort and Casino in City Center. The Fountains Bellagio would soon phase out from only playing classical music and would begin showcasing other genres of music, including New Age pop. Over time, the hotel rooms would be upgrading, and renovations were made to the casino area. Kinda like, what do you call it? A de-theming apocalypse? The security of the Bellagio would also be increased, after an incident on December 2010 where an armed man would steal over $1 million worth of casino chips from a craps table inside of the casino. After the man was caught in 2011, he was sentenced from 6 to 16 years in prison after he was also caught stealing from the Suncoast. That wasn't the only incident that happened inside of the casino. In fact, in just 2017 alone, there were 2 major disasters that would happen. On March 25, 2017, the Bellagio's Rolex store would be broken into by 3 men wearing pig masks, using sledgehammers and guns to damage the store. About 1 month after the incident on March 25, 2017, what seemed to be a faulty lighting caused part of the Bellagio's shopping area's roof to be set ablaze. The Clark County Fire and Rescue was quick to respond to the fire, and in just a few hours, the fire was depleted with no injuries or deaths. After the devastating fire, the damages were estimated to between $400,000 to $500,000. Finally, in October of 2019, MGM Resorts International, who had been owning and operating the Bellagio ever since the early 2000s, had announced that it would be selling the resort and casino to an investment management company called the Blackstone Group for over $4 billion as part of a joint venture between the two corporations. Holding a 5% stake in the venture, the Bellagio would basically be rented by the Blackstone Group for $245 million a year. This was also the same year that Circus Las Vegas, another casino on the Las Vegas Strip that was previously owned by MGM Resorts, would be sold to Phil Ruffin, an American businessman who also owned the nearby Treasure Island Resort and Casino for $825 million. Because of all this, 2019 would be a pretty hefty year when it comes to MGM selling its casinos. Throughout its entire life and for the next years to come, the Bellagio has quickly become quite possibly one of the most iconic casinos in the entire history of casinos, and well, hospitality in general. With its classy atmosphere, great shows and attractions, and even its great Italian theming has turned it into one of the classiest resorts on the Las Vegas Strip. Even to this day, the Bellagio has still been able to stay relevant with the other casinos throughout the Las Vegas, and it's no wonder why it's been getting such high popularity. It's also inspired many other casinos to try to recreate this sort of flair. However, no casino in existence will ever be able to recapture the true glory of the Bellagio.